don't know if you've noticed, but there's a new mainstream media. I'm going to talk about that today. Let's go. Okay, guys, mainstream media is dead. NBC, ABC, all of those, they're dead. We know it. But you might be wondering, how do they still exist? What do they do? Well, one, they're propped up by large corporations, pharma, all that kind of stuff. They're paid. Essentially, what you are seeing when you watch the news is, whether it's conservative or liberal, you're watching spokespeople. They're no longer journalists. They're spokespeople for big corporations and that happen to tell you of other things that are happening around the world. Okay? They are just megaphones for corporations. People call that being captured. The news, because it needs money, was captured. And so many of the anchors that you see every day, the majority of the check, whether it's CNN or Fox News, is paid for by ads. Because that's how companies grow. News companies grow, is they have to make money. Well, the people that pay ads, there are ones that will come around and write a big check. But you better not talk negatively about them. And what happens is these news corporations end up being fully funded by those big corporations, and then those big corporations use them to communicate what they want. That is what being captured means. Now, you might be wondering, do people still watch that? Yes. I am 38 years old, all right? I'm 38. My parents, and your parents, if you're around the same age, still get a lot of their news from mainstream media. And the reason why that's important is because a lot of these news stations end up dictating elections. Now, there is a new mainstream media, which we know about. Okay? We know about it. Our parents, they're not on YouTube like we are. They're not on Instagram like we are for their news, or Twitter for their news. Okay? They're watching that. And it'll be like that for the next 20 years. Okay? And they're the generation that actually shows up and votes. We are finding it more important to vote. But overall, the big voters, they're still our parents. They are the ones that are influencing the most, and they're most influenced by mainstream media. Now, mainstream media is dying. Most big podcast news or stuff you watch on YouTube where you get your news that isn't mainstream media, they get more views, right? They get more views than CNN, Fox News, MSNBC, CNBC. They get more views than them. Right? But you're wondering, well, how do they have such influence? Because we don't do anything. These younger generations, we don't vote. We don't have as much money. All right? But it's changing. And there's a new mainstream media. And the new mainstream media are all the people that we listen to, conservative or liberal. Now we listen to individual voices, okay? And those individual voices are influenced just like mainstream media. They think, right now we think, oh, they're pure, they're great, they're not captured, but they will be. And what you're noticing is the beginning of that. What do I mean? Well, they are starting, the biggest thing that kills, like what started this whole mainstream media of being captured is the 24/7 news cycle, which means they need to have news every hour to keep you tuned in. So then there's negativity because they know if we give negative news, you're more likely to watch. So they find negative news. Now you're watching it. Well, there's only so much negative news. So then they're going, okay, we're going to have opinions. But 24/7 news costs money to pay anchors, to pay producers, to pay all the cameramen, everyone that has to be there to do 24/7 news. They need something. So they need a big fat paycheck, which brings us back to where we were with mainstream media. Now, the individual journalists that you listen to now that aren't attached to ABC, NBC, CNBC, Fox News, CNN, the people that are not attached to that you're like, yes, I like them because they're not being influenced by big corp, right? Well, they're being influenced by little corp. And I don't know if you watch their Twitter. I don't know if you watch their YouTube channels. I don't know if you watch it, but it is turning into 24/7 news. Yes, they're not putting anything out past midnight, but they're up early because they need YouTube views, because YouTube now is their big fat check. So if YouTube says, we're going to demonetize you, or we're not going to get you out to as many people if you talk about X, Y, and Z, they're not going to do it. Right? because YouTube writes them the big check. And what is the big check? The big check is attention. Okay? So now they might have little checks coming in from sponsors, but that's not meaningful. What they want is to get in front of as many people. And if they get in front of enough people, they will also get a check from YouTube. So we're just trading, and now it's the beginning, it's the early days, but I guarantee you, all these people that we watch now, that we trust, we will become just like our parents in 20 years. Where now they are gonna say certain things in certain ways because they don't wanna be demonetized, they don't wanna be taken off YouTube. And they're gonna have bigger paychecks, not just from YouTube, but from sponsors because they've built a bigger platform, and now they're not gonna wanna lose those sponsors. You think not, I promise. And then the younger generation, 20 years from now, the 30-year-olds are gonna be calling us out, and we're not gonna wanna listen to them. And they're gonna say, that is the new mainstream media. They're lying to you. They're hiding certain things. They're not saying the truth. And it's just gonna be this cycle where we don't believe them, we vote, we're heavily influenced, and we're creating an environment that probably the younger generation doesn't love that much. And no one will listen to us, and we won't listen to them. The problem is that we don't see it, and we think that we're not as gullible as our parents. We are. We're the same. We make the same mistakes, and we will make the same mistakes. And I don't have an answer of how to change that. But I think it's important that you know there is a new mainstream media. Yes, the mainstream media that exists right now is dead and dying. We're next. Justice Marina.